Kommunikoidaan ensisijaisesti näillä viittomilla, jotta meillä ei häirittäisi puhujia. Jokaisen sana on tärkeä, jokainen puheenvuoro otetaan tervetulleena vastaan, mutta siis myös ihan äänen kuulumisen kannalta. Jos te symppaatte puhujaa näin, jos te ette symppaa näin, ja jos puhuja toistaa itseään näin. Seuraava puhuja, kiitos.
Hey, good afternoon, buenas tardes. I'm Spanish, and as many other thousands of Spanish, I have had to move to another country to look for a job. As you know, in May in Spain, we started the movement of the indignados, of the alcohol in Spain, and that was boosted because of the economic crisis, but because of several other reasons that were already there. Mainly the one that was that the lack of democracy in Spain, in the sense that the politicians have become professionals, not really representing the population, but working on their own interests. Well, the camps in Madrid and in several other cities in Spain were starting just before the council elections in Spain. And at the beginning, the mass media and the politicians, they thought that they were cute, but that they will disappear in some few small time afterwards. What happened is that they were not disappearing, and they were actually growing. After that, they started to think that they were not just cute, but maybe annoying. So they started to think that maybe they should ban somehow these camps. And one of the ways that they were starting to do that was actually trying to get themselves to look like something violent and not really representing the rest of the population. Fortunately, thanks to internet and several new technologies, mainly the mobile phones and the availability of recording what was happening in Spain, the truth was up there on internet, and it was really clear that the camps on those cities were representing many people, and they were pacific, or peaceful, sorry. Well, one of the problems with the democracy, and there were several examples in Spain, but probably is the same in other countries, is that those ways of not representing the people were really clear. For example, on some laws that were done in Spain, just war after war, dictated by the US, and WikiLeaks were already showing that. Others were, for example, just in August, we were changing our constitution just because the central bank was saying so. There was no survey about the population being agreeing with this measure. They was just imposed by the bank, the central bank in Europe. Another clear example is that in the May elections for the councils, the claim to be winner of those elections was a party that had a little bit more than the 30% of the votes. Actually, more than 40% of the votes was the people that was not going to vote on those elections. So there were more people not voting than actually the winner of those elections. There is no real democracy in Spain. Something has to change. Yeah, I'm going to rush. The thing is that how they are facing this crisis in Spain, the thing that they are facing this crisis is like giving money to the banks because they think that the banks are going to solve this problem. Actually, there is not only this, they are also cutting down the spending on the social services in Spain. These camps in Spain, they are now evolving into strikes because they are cutting down the spending in the health system and also in education. They are now striking these public teachers and public doctors. They are now going on strike, going against these cut downs. The thing is that while they are cutting down, they are not taking into account that maybe one way is just raising the taxes for the people that has more money, well and more fair distribution of the wealthy. And also in the European Union, the crisis is faced in the same way. We are now facing the way of rescuing another country, Greece. But actually, where is this money going? This money is not going for Greece. This money is for paying the debt that they have with the external banks. These banks are the French and German banks mainly, not only, but mainly these are the banks. So after spending a lot, thousands of millions of euros on rescuing these banks, we are going to rescue Greece, but no, we are going to give even more money to those banks. It's better that the people has a higher view what is the problem, what is going on. Also, I think that all these campsites in Spain has to evolve somehow. They are really representing the thought of the people, but they are not in the institutions. They have to evolve into something that has to go into the institutions and change how the democracy is working on. So it's not just about these demonstrations, but becoming parties or going to change the democracy. And finally, there is a philosopher in Spain that says that the change is not something that is needed. It's not something that is needed. With or without the power and the people that has the money, it's not something that is needed. It's that something that for sure is going to change. Thank you. Kiitos paljon.
Kiitos. Nyt mä sanon siis sen, että kun täällä tulee näitä